This is After School Empire, the podcast that helps teachers like you make extra money by launching and growing their own income-generating side hustles. My name is Tony Neely. I'm a veteran teacher and a lifelong serial side hustler. Through one-on-one coaching and leading school-wide professional development workshops, I've helped many teachers launch their side hustles, and now it's your turn. So grab a notebook and your favorite pen, because today is the day we start building your After School Empire. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of After School Empire. As always, I'm your host, Tony Neely, and we're doing another Teacher Hustle Spotlight today with Miss Hannah Sosebee. Hannah, thanks so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Hannah served as an academic coach at my school for a while. We're in a PLC together. Absolutely love her. She is salt to the earth kind of people, and I'm really thankful that you're going to tell us a little bit about your side hustle today.
Oh, thanks, Tony. I appreciate you.
Aw, you're the best. So tell us a little bit about your current role in education.
So I just finished my 14th year in education, and I'm currently an academic coach, and I split schools, but I'm in 2 middle schools right now.
What did you do before you were an academic coach?
So I taught middle school math. I taught 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade throughout the years. And I did that for 11 years, and then I just finished my 3rd year as academic coach.
Okay, awesome. So very math-minded person, which
Yes.
actually I could see working with what you do for your side hustle, because I'm sure there's accounting and a lot of strategic planning stuff going on behind it. So tell us, for those listening who don't know you personally, tell us what your side hustle is.
So I'm a travel professional through Road to Relaxation Travel, and I specialize in Disney and Universal vacations. And so what I do is I get in touch with people get in touch with me, and I plan and book their Disney and Universal vacation. And I get paid commission from those companies. And people don't pay me like they don't hand me money. The company hands me money.
I'm one of the people who reached out to you because I had heard of others working with you, and we're planning our big Disney trip in November with he'll be 5 then, your old son, Avit. And man, it is crazy expensive. We may have to sell our other son to, pay for our 4 days at Disney.
Yeah, it definitely can get up there. It definitely can. But that's where a travel professional, travel consult is really your free consultant, because you're going to be paying the same amount of money anyway. So either way, it's nice to have a consultant that's going to be with you all the time.
Absolutely. So how did you start this? I know that you love traveling. You travel a lot.
Yeah.
How did you go from being an avid traveler to becoming a travel professional?
It actually started with one of my really avid travel friends. We were in Philadelphia sitting in a restaurant, and we were discussing how much we love travel and how we really should actually make money doing this, because we love it so much. And so I kind of spun off that and got in touch with a friend who was also a teacher and a travel agent on the side. And she got me in touch with my company that I now work for. And so it just kind of went off from there.
When you decided, okay, I'm going to try to monetize this, you start looking around. What made you decide to go with Road to Relaxation? Because I know there's a million different travel agencies out there. Why did you choose that one?
Yes, you do not even know how many until you really dive into this, how many travel agencies there are. It was small. My friend had told me that she had worked with my boss, and she had just started her own company. And so she's like, she just posted that she's looking for Disney-specific travel agents. So I think that it would be great because she could work more one-on-one with you. And since it's a smaller agency, and since you're completely starting from scratch. So that's why I chose them. They're based out of North Carolina. So actually all of our agents are kind of all over the country, which is kind of fun. But yeah, it's really cool to come in on their first couple of years and see how much it's grown. I've been with them. I just celebrated 6 years with them.
What did that application process look like? Did you have to turn in an application, turn in a travel portfolio? How did you sell yourself to them as, hey, I'm somebody you want to be a face on behalf of your company?
Yeah. So they have on their website, join our team, and you click on that, and then you fill out basically an application. You send a resume of just your history. And then my interview, I had several interviews. So I interviewed with one of the head agents first, and she kind of basically decided if it was worth interviewing with the boss. And since I was specifically going for Disney and Universal, I was asked very specific questions about those travel locations because if you haven't been to Disney in the last 15 years, it's so large that it is not something you can just read about. You
It's
have to
intimidating. Like,
it's super
I
intimidating.
don't have anxiety issues, and just going through websites and reading about different restaurants and park hopper versus non-park hopper and having to schedule rides online or staying in line, like, it's intimidating.
It really is, and so that is not something that she was just saying, she's like, "I can teach you other things. I cannot teach you Disney. Since you know it, let's see how well you know it so that I know I can trust you with the client." So that's really how that interview how it went, and then started doing trainings from there.
Why did you choose to specifically focus on Disney? I know you said they had a need, but were you already a Disney expert going in?
It has always been something my family has done. I blame my mother. They took us growing up, they took us every year. Even if we didn't go just to Disney, we would go to Universal. We would stay off property, and then we started staying on property and realized how much we loved that. And it just kinda grew into something I just happen to know a lot about. I had a couple of friends that moved to Orlando, and so I would fly down to visit them, and so, of course, we would go to Disney while I was down there, and then I bought an annual pass one year for my birthday present to myself, and I went down there all the time, and then from there, I'm like, people started asking me to help them book their trips, and I'm like, "I can make money doing this." So, I did have a lot of knowledge of it beforehand, yeah.
So they hire you on, they say, "We believe you're the person for the position." Do they have an established portfolio of clients that they go ahead and give you, or was it your responsibility to start getting business on your own?
Yeah, so it's all of my responsibility. It is my small business. I pay them a monthly fee for, like, the travel agent number that you have to, like, type in or say whenever you call a vendor. And so my name is attached to them, but it is my small business. So they did not hand me clients. You have to build your own clientele, which is intimidating at first, especially coming from like an education world where I don't come from a business mindset. I loved that it makes me use a whole separate part of my brain. And so I had to think about marketing. I had to think about getting my name out there. I had to think about, intentionally even wearing something that has a Mickey on it and people saying, "Oh, I love Mickey." It's like, "Oh, really? Well, I book travel." Like, how to create conversation. It really took a whole nother level when you know that your business depends solely on you.
Hey there. I really hope you're enjoying this episode of After School Empire. If you're gaining any benefit from this podcast at all, could I ask you to do one thing? Please take a moment and share it with other teachers. Just a simple social media post or text message to a colleague not only helps this show keep growing, but can also be the first step in helping a friend that you care about learn how to gain more financial independence by launching and growing their own side hustle. Thanks so much. Now back to the show. And that's something that's really huge for side hustlers because, especially as teachers, we tell students to be modest, be humble, all of those great things. But also, when we're trying to generate extra income, we have to be willing to engage people with those conversations. If you meet somebody on the street, if you have a waitress at a restaurant, an Uber driver, whatever, you need to be telling them about whatever your side hustle is because you never know who may become your next customer. And
Exactly.
if you're not telling them those things, then they're never going to discover you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I've seen that time and time again over the years.
So I want to circle back around to this model of your relationship with the company. So you are paid a commission from the companies from booking. Do you split some of that commission with your agency, or are you simply paying them to open the gate as if they are a gatekeeper that holds on to your agent ID and you're paying them for access to these organizations and they leave your income alone?
So they get a part of my commission, yes. They have a tiered system, so as you start making more commission, then you get a bigger percent of the commission.
So you're
Um,
paying them and they are
I'm
taking part of
paying
your
them
commission?
Yeah, I'm paying them, like, a very, very small fee per month. I'm talking,
Okay,
like,
so it's not something
super
significant.
small. Yeah, no. It's a tiny fee I pay them per month, but they do get a percentage of the commission. So the company sends a commission to my agency pays us.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah,
So do those fees decrease as you go up into different tiers, or is that monthly fee consistent
my
regardless?
monthly fee is consistent, yeah. But like I said, it's an insanely small amount for what they allow us to use. And then, like I said, the commission tiers roll up because their thing is a lot of people think, "Oh, I'll become a travel agent so I can get discounts." Okay, well, you have to prove yourself as a travel agent before you just start getting all these discounts. And so that's another thing. You have to be invested in your business and you have
Now
to
are
start
those
making
are those discounts that people are seeking, are those normally coming from the companies themselves or from the agency?
from the company themselves.
Gotcha.
Mhm. So there is more to it than I think people think. And the initial thought is, "Oh, I want to be a travel agent. That sounds like so much fun. I love booking travel." It's like, but it is a business. And it's a business no matter what company. If you want to go with a really large company, it's still a business. Um, and you still have to pay fees and you still have part of your commission that's, going to be taken by the company unless you start your own company, which would include a whole myriad of other things.
I love that you keep going back to the emphasis that this is a business because that's something that I try to emphasize on both of my podcasts, whether you're a musician that's looking to book more gigs, and that's my other podcast, Book Your Band Podcast, or this one, you're a teacher trying to make more money. We have to get out of the hobby mindset. We're not
Right.
doing this
Exactly.
we're not doing this as volunteer hours. We're not, going to read books to elderly cats at the Humane Society. We're here to make extra cash, and so we have to approach it with that business mindset.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about how you're marketing. What are you doing to get people to find you? Are you buying ads? Are you doing organic content marketing? Is it all word of mouth? How are people discovering you?
So initially, I mean, social media was, it, and then word of mouth. I have my own Facebook for my agency that's linked to my personal Facebook account. But so I can post specifically just for the agency on that one. I have my own Instagram account as well. I haven't ventured into TikTok yet because most of my people are Instagram, honestly, and then word of mouth. I mean, and the great thing about working in a school and doing this is that, I mean, teachers already knew I love Disney. Like that wasn't a surprise, and that I love to travel. Like literally every break, somebody says, "Oh, are you going to Disney?" It's just like I'm like, "No, I'm actually not." But it's like, like it's kind of become part of my persona, I guess. So word of mouth was huge, and then I was told initially from one of the lead agents that it will take a year to year and a half before you actually start seeing profit. So if you really want this, you've got to stick with it because you don't get paid until the client travels. So I can book a Disney trip 500 days in advance. I don't get paid until they travel. So if they cancel it, I don't get paid either. So there's a lot of that kinda goes into it. You have to be dedicated, and a lot of people, if you don't go in knowing, like, this is a business, this is going to take time, this is gonna take dedication to start, then you kinda give up before you even start really making a profit.
Yeah,
Um,
Drew Small, who I reference him all the time on the show because I think he's a brilliant marketing mind. Uh, but he says that oftentimes being successful in business or in life or whatever it is you're pursuing is just doing the right things for an unordinarily long time.
right.
So whatever it is that you're doing, we have a tendency, when it comes to the side hustle world that I'm going to dip my toe in this, I'm going to try this a little bit while I'm not seeing the amount of money that I want. So I'm going to jump over and try this thing. It's like, our ADHD kicks in. We're like, ooh, shiny, I'm going to try that. And
Mhm.
it's very true. Some of these things, it's going to take time to build. Rome wasn't built in a day, and your after school empire, being able to pay off your mortgage or pay off your car from your side hustling, that's probably not going to happen overnight either.
Not at all. And that was really true what they told me that year to year and a half before I actually started seeing profit and started seeing like, oh, I'm actually making a consistent paycheck. And because it's commission only, your paychecks could be very, very little one month and really, really high the next. I mean, October is one of my biggest months because of fall break. Like,
Yeah.
people love to go to Florida during fall break. And that's just been true for me in the past several years. That like my biggest check is going to be in October. So, but going back to like how I, market myself, after a few years, I didn't have to post on social media every day. And I didn't, because I was getting so much business that to try to balance the school life and the travel agent life was getting a little tough. And so I was like, I kind of need to back off marketing because I need to take care of what I have right now. And honestly, referrals and repeat clients, after a couple of years, I think at this point, there's 2/3 of my client base that I don't know personally because they've been referrals from people that I do know.
Yeah, and that's why I always say, early on when you're launching a side hustle, getting positive reviews is a lot more powerful in the long term than making a quick buck.
Right.
Because if you get somebody and you get a $500 or $1,000 commission off them, but you do a really crappy job, well, that might be the last $500 or $1,000 you ever see if they go around and start bashing you online and telling all their friends how horrible you were. So, especially early on, just making sure that you are giving your all for those clients because word of mouth is going to travel fast, and bad reviews seem to travel a lot faster than good ones.
Definitely, for sure. And that's what I found is those good reviews, those referrals, those repeat clients. I mean, you get people dedicated to you and they'll send everybody to you. I get texts there's a few clients in particular that it's like almost like every 3 or 4 months I'll get a text, "Hey, I just told somebody about you. You should be getting an email soon."
We haven't even completed our trip yet, and we've already told multiple friends, "Hey, if you're thinking about going to Disney, reach out to Hannah Sosebee."
Yeah. And that's great because also when people start looking at it and they start getting overwhelmed by it, it's like, "Hey, you can have a consultant. You can have someone who knows that place front and back, and, like, I actually can guide you through it. When you have questions, you come straight to me. You don't have to go and look at 17 blogs and, all these things. You can if you want to, but, like, I am literally your personal consultant, and then as you travel, like, while you're there, I'm available to you, and that I found is what clients love the most, is knowing that, "Okay, I'm going, and while I'm there, I can send a text to Hannah and be like, 'I have no idea where I am right now.'" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, let me lead you," like, it's just nice to have that comfort of having someone in your back pocket.
So do you see yourself starting to do more marketing, or are you pretty happy with the number of clients you have right now?
So my boss, we're a husband and wife team. So we have a yearly business meeting together. And the last couple of years, I've talked to her and we've discussed how, I'm kind of at my max if I still want to just do this part time. Like, if I want to have a life outside of school and my travel agent business, then I'm kind of hit my groove. So I found myself backing out of marketing a little bit. I still have my travel agent page. I still have my Instagram and Facebook. I still talk about it, but I use that more for when I actually do travel. I found that I've also in the 6 years created kind of a persona of when I travel, people wanna watch my Instagram stories, and I make them want to go. Like, that's my goal. I want you to want to go. So, I just post like, "Hey, I'm traveling this week. Make sure you follow my stories." And that is my biggest marketing, is people feeling like they're with me on my trip.
Yeah, that's organic drive, and that honestly is the best type of content marketing to do is just say, "I'm living this adventure and follow along. Oh, and then by the way, if you want my services, here's how you can learn some more."
Right.
So walk us through a day in the life of travel professional Hannah Sosebee. So somebody reaches out to you and they say, "Hannah, we want to book a trip to Disney World. Walk us through the process. What's going on the back end?
So depending on when they get in touch with me, if it's during school, I am very much a balanced person with work of my full-time job is my full-time job. So after school, I will get in touch with them or respond to them because I need them to know that I'm not going to respond to them unless they are actually traveling at that moment during school hours. Separating that's important because people will message you at all hours of the night. So making that balance is huge. So I email or text them when it's appropriate time for me. And then I get their basic information of like, when are you looking at going? How many people are going? What are you looking for? Have you already researched this before? We call that qualifying a client. Just kind of knowing, I'm going to make a quote, but I'm not Google. So when I make a quote, I want it to be as connected to you and what you're looking for in your vacation as possible. So I normally send 3 or 4 options for them, and I kind of range the price. If they didn't give me a price range, then I kind of give them high, middle, low, just to there's more resorts, there's more options in these tiers, but from what you've said you wanted and what your family's interested in, here is what I would request. And if people don't like it and they're like, we really want to see more in this range, then I will give a second quote. But again, I'm not going to quote 18 resorts before you pick one. It's like, no, I'm qualifying you. I need to know what you like because then let me be the professional to choose for you which ones best suit what you are looking for. So then once I do that, send the quote, I can chat back and forth with them. Sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's an email or a text. And then we send the link to book. And then from there, it's doing all the prep for the actual trip. So I'm constantly in contact with my clients. It depends on how far out. If it's booked pretty far out, then it's every few months up until the month before 2 months before when it's like, all right, let's get everything really situated. That's kind of how it looks. I know I kind of expanded from my day to a trip.
That's great. I am curious when you said working on the prep, what all does that entail for you? Because I know for the traveler, there's the anticipation, the excitement, getting their packing list together. But for you as the travel professional, what does prep look like?
So with Disney and with Universal, there's just things to know before you go. So we have PDFs made from our agency that's literally called Know Before You Go. And like I said, there like you mentioned, there's so many pieces to a Disney trip. Universal is less intensive when it comes to the prep before, but with Disney, here's, do you want to order magic bands? Here's what day your dining day is going to be where I can book your dining reservations. Here's what day your final payment is. Here's what you need to look forward to when you're thinking about Genie Plus and bypassing lines, at the park. Here's why you need a rest day. Here's why, all of these things that you don't want to throw at people all at once because it's too overwhelming. But there's a method to what you send out and when you send out the things. So that way your client knows this is the next thing I need to think about. This is the next thing I need to think about. So when they go on their trip, they're like, oh, this is great. This is wonderful. I can enjoy this trip and not think, I wish we had known this or I wish we had done this. It's all about making the experience for the client seamless.
Everything goes off without a hitch. How long after the trip is it that you get your commission released to you?
Disney is pretty quick. Once a client checks in at Disney, they pretty much within that week send the commission to my agency. And then Universal is it's between 4 and 6 weeks before you get that one after the client checks in. But my agency pays us twice a month. So the 15th and 30th of the month or last day of the month based on the commissions that have come in.
Gotcha. And what do those commission percentages normally look like? I know you said that your agency has different tiers, but if somebody is looking to start a side hustle as a travel professional, what percentage commission are they generally looking at?
Each company is going to be different. Disney is more of a 10% of that payment for the client, and then the agency, depending on your tier, 65%, 70%, 75%, 80% of that 10% is yours.
So you're taking home just ballpark 80% of 10% commission.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, that's a lot higher than some other side hustles I've heard where people are working in services on behalf of a company for commission. So that's not bad.
No, it really isn't bad when you sit back. But when you think about money per hour, it's a balance because some clients are going to be more needy than others,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to take a lot more of your time. And your money per hour may not have been worth it, but then you turn around and another client's like, "Hey, we want this lavish, you know, vacation and we want it next month." And you were like, "Oh, okay, here you go." And you made really good commission and you didn't have to prep too much because it was like boom, boom, they traveled. So it really is a balance based on your time versus the money.
That's completely understandable. And that's honestly how a lot of side hustles are. I mean, I remember when I was doing exterior cleaning, there'd be some places I did, and I was like, by the time I get up in the morning, get my gear loaded in, do all of my equipment checks, drive over there, clean this place, it's like, yeah, I'm making some money, but also it's not that, significant. But then you get these other jobs where, like you said, it's a quick call. And before you know it, you've got $1,500, $2,000 in your hand that you didn't have a couple hours beforehand.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's going to wax and wane for sure. Now, I know you said a lot of people want to get into being a travel professional because of the discounts. Have you gotten to a point where you're experiencing those discounts?
Yes. And it really is nice. It really is nice to use the discounts to be able to travel. But also, part of that is, and part of my agency especially, is if you're using a travel agent discount, then you are supposed to promote that travel. So that's another thing about when I go on these vacations and I'm doing my Instagram stories and I'm, including people within my vacation, it's because I'm there because of my travel agent discount. So therefore, I need to use it to market. That's
And
kind of how
and
it
how
works.
deep are those discounts?
Pretty heavy at times. Sometimes it's free tickets, sometimes it's 50% off a room. Universal has pretty good discounts with rooms and tickets as well. And with Disney, it's more, um, I can't get other people tickets, but at Universal, I can do so many tickets per year discounted for my family, which is nice.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And yeah, so those are the big discounts. And then sometimes, like last year, Disney asked our agency if we wanted to go to Disneyland and promote it and that they would pay part of it. They would give certain discounts and certain like dining cards for us if we would go to Disneyland and promote it. And so we did an agency trip to Disneyland. Now, we still paid for a partial part of it, but Disney reached out to the agency to go and market for them. So sometimes that happens too.
Got you. So you're not just working with Disney World, you're also doing Disneyland.
Yeah, so it's the Disney company. Disney
Okay.
World is my bread and butter because where we live is closer to Florida. Um, but I mean, Disney cruises are involved, Disneyland, Aulani, and Hawaii Disney is also included. The foreign Disneys are not, sadly. I've had people ask me about Disneyland Paris, and we don't book the foreign country ones, but yeah. So when I log in, I can book Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, and Aulani.
So if a teacher's listening to this and they're saying, all right, I think I want to do this. I want to be a travel professional. For you as someone who has 6 years experience doing it now, what kind of tips would you give them? Or maybe what are some things you've learned along the way that maybe you had to learn the hard way that you can save them the pains of learning on the front end?
Probably one of my biggest lessons was taking my email off of my phone. I would get hyper obsessed with, oh, I'm teaching, and then it's in between classes, and I look at my phone, and I have an email from a client and an email from the agency, and I'm like, and my mind is like, oh, I need to answer that. No, I can't answer that. I have a class coming in. Like actually my travel agent boss told me because I was at a point where I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And she's like, and I run this business, and I took my email off my phone because if you have to make office hours and you check your email and you answer clients during those hours. And that saved my mind a lot because I was able, when I was at school, focus on school.
Yeah,
And
so you're once again another teacher hustler that I've talked to that talks about the need to set hard boundaries.
and boundaries are hard, especially with clients who, and some of them expect you to answer them immediately, and you have to set those boundaries. And I don't think people intentionally realize, unless you tell them they don't know especially people who don't know you, they don't know you have another job. So a lot of times I upfront tell them, I'm a teacher. I can have a phone call with you after 3:30, and we work. That way they at least know, oh, she is working Monday through Friday. You know, so yeah, I would say setting boundaries and setting office hours and setting, like, taking that email off of your phone so that when you're at school, you can be at school. And when you leave school, you can be a businesswoman or a business.
Awesome. Hannah, thanks so much for your time. If somebody wants to find out about booking a trip with you, seeing what your travel professional profile looks like, or following your travels online, where can we find you?
So our website is roadtorelaxationtravel.com. And my Instagram is Hannah RTR Travel.
Awesome. Hannah, you're amazing. I know you've got a couple big trips coming up, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you. You too.
And we'll see you again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. For more resources and support, be sure to visit www.afterschoolemempire.com and sign up for my mailing list. I promise not to spam you, and you'll be the first to know about new side hustle resources that are available from After School Empire. Until next time, remember, people want to give you money. You just have to find a reason for them to do so.